Jesus' name, signify by saying amen by waving at me. No. So, like we stated, we thank God for everyone that is joining us on tonight, and even for those who are watching later on. We give God the glory, honor, and the praise, and I'm just grateful and thankful for each and every one of you that has watching, and Lord, even for those who will be watching later on. I thank God for you that watches it on the replay, and for those who are on Facebook and those who are on YouTube. I'm just grateful for it. And so at this particular point in time, I just ask that we would all get ourselves geared up and ready because we know that the Lord is going to do some great things in and through us on tonight. And we are going to continue with our series that we have been dealing with entitled Love Language. The series has been entitled Love Language. And for some of us, like we stated over the past couple of weeks, some of us don't love ourselves. All right. And in doing that, we don't know how to love others. All right. And since we don't love ourselves, it makes it difficult for us to love other people. And then to make matters even worse, some of us even go and get married. All right. And then we don't even know really who we are. All right. And we don't even know how to love ourselves, but also we don't know how to receive love, and we don't know what it's like to show love or to give love. So, to a certain degree, we are already starting from behind the eight ball, or we're starting from behind the eight ball. And then also, some of us have had the wrong model, all right, of love shown to us or modeled in front of us. And so, we have gotten it twisted as to what we think love is. All right. And some of the things that we think love is not exactly love. All right. And so what makes it worse, or to add on to it, is our mentality. All right. Our mentality gets stuck. All right. The way we look at love and the things of how we perceive love is stuck. All right. Because of what was shown to us and how things were brought out in front of us. And so we have a wrong perception about love. All right. We have a wrong outlook of love. And so, in having a wrong outlook and a wrong perception of love, it ends up causing us to have the wrong ideas. All right. And when somebody is teaching us or trying to explain to us what love really is and what love is about, we think that they're wrong. We think that they're wrong. And so sometimes we, as people of God that know what true love is, sometimes we actually have to back off. We actually have to back off until the person is, or the person or persons are ready to receive. All right, ready to receive, but also not only ready to receive, but also ready to put into action. All right, to put into action. Because as we stated last week and the week before, some people grew up in a household where yelling, all right, is acceptable, where cursing out is acceptable, where getting slapped upside the head is acceptable, and all of these things. And they feel that if the person is not doing that, that they're not being shown love. All right. But also, besides that, the only way I know if that's me, the only way I know that you love me is by you doing those types of things to me. All right, by yelling at me, by cursing at me, by slapping me or beating me up, all those types of things. And that's really not the case. That is really not the case. So on tonight, we're going to dive even deeper into this. All right. And one of the 5 love languages that we're going to look at on tonight is act of love, or act of service. Sorry. Act of service is what we are looking at on tonight. Act of service. So the lesson is entitled, It's More Than Just Words. All right. It's more than just words. All right. The love language, all right, that we're looking at is act of service. All right. The scripture that we're coming from is John 15 and 13. It's very familiar to each and every one of us. John 15:13, which states this: greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. All right. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. All right. So in that, all right, let us delve into this and let us look at this because I have several questions that I need for somebody to come off of mute and to answer on tonight. All right. Because the first question that I have is this: what shows more love, the price of the gift or the thought? All right, let me read that again. What shows more love, the price of the gift or the thought? Now, I need you to support your answer, whichever way your answer is. Is it the price of the gift or the thought of the gift? Which one shows more love? All right, somebody come off of mute, or somebody's come off of mute.
Pastor, I would say the thought of the gift, because you actually took time out to think about that person, to even think about getting them a gift. You can do small things such as, if just example, if I like a candle and you smelt that candle and you just thought of me, versus buying a bracelet or tennis bracelet, I will get probably more joy out of the candle than the actual tennis bracelet. So I don't think pricing of a gift shows more love. It's the thought that counts.
Okay. All right. That's one thought. All right. Someone else. Is it the thought or the price that shows more love?
I agree with
Or
Sister Des. I think it's the gift, the thought of the gift, meaning because if you get something that is tailored for the person, it's not about the price, because you can go out and buy anything in regards to price wise, and it doesn't fit what the person wants or desires. And it doesn't really show that you listen to the person, or you spent time with the person, or you really heard what the person has stated. Like she said, maybe they said yesterday they wanted a Kit Kat bar, and then you just ended up buying them a Kit Kat bar and you gave it to them, and they're like, oh, you really heard me, you thought about me. And instead of just going buying a expensive pair of shoes that they can't wear, or it's too small for their feet, or they have no desire to wear those types of shoes, you're really getting into personal with the person, knowing who they are, knowing their likes, what they're like. And it's not about, the gift is not about a reward for you, about how much you spent. It's really what they want, and you listening and giving them what they desired.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Someone else have a thought. Is it the price or the thought that makes the gift show more love?
Well, I think it also would be the thought of the gift, because that gift is presented at any time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. All
Now, don't
right.
get me wrong, expensive gifts are nice, right? Expensive gifts are nice. So I don't think either one would show more love. But if it's more to the heart, people receive it better because they know that you really thought about them.
It seems like it's tailor-made.
Yeah, yeah,
Seems like it's tailor-made.
yeah.
Minister Frazier put, the price of the gift also matters when you give your very last. Yeah, yeah. And what else? Anyone else have a thought on it before I kind of give my my little 2 cents?
Well, you know what? It can go both ways, because if you go to a if
I
you
was
go to a
wondering if
dollar
somebody was
store,
going to say that.
I mean, we know you give questions that are both ways, right? You can flip it both ways, because if you go to the dollar store and get something like you didn't really think about it, and you just bought something that was cheap, then it kind of, not saying offensive, but you didn't really put effort into it, maybe. But if you don't have much to give as far as money, then the price really doesn't matter because you gave your last.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because the, like they say, to look at it, it can go either way. It can go either way. Because it can be, the thought can be extremely loving, and you spent next to nothing on it. All right. And that shows extreme amounts of love. But then also, the expense of a gift can also show how much love, because you're willing to spend that much on a person. Because let me ask this. How many women would enjoy a Cracker Jack box ring and be all excited for that as an engagement ring versus a 1 carat? somebody come up. A Cracker Jack box ring as an engagement. Smith, you saying I'm wrong for that? I'm reading your lips. How many would enjoy a Cracker Jack box ring versus a 1 carat diamond ring?
That's an insult.
That you have to bring in a Brink truck.
Pastor, a lot of the younger women today don't even know what Cracker Jack gifts were.
But let me paint this picture because my brain just really got going. What if the gift from the Cracker Jack box was from when the two of you were 5 years old and you were sitting on a swing underneath the tree at your grandmother's house or at your house, and he saved that Cracker Jack box ring for all those years, and he all of a sudden slipped that Cracker Jack box ring on your finger?
I have to say
That
love.
can only be a 5 carat then. That's worth 5 carats because that's sentimental value.
I have to say love is a many splendor thing.
Is this a confession, Pastor? Is this a confession?
No, this ain't no confession. This is called, let's see where everybody's mind really is at.
Love.
Things have sentimental purpose and value. So, it's history behind that. So if that has that value, you wouldn't look at it as a Cracker Jack box because it has history behind it. You know where it came from. There's love behind it. But if somebody's just getting a ring pop,
Oh, that's even better.
It has been upgraded.
And you know what? And it also, let me say this too, depending on our mindset, we're talking about gifts. It depends on a relationship. So a ring pop may not be bad if you have a relationship that's young, and say, for example, the person couldn't afford the ring at the time. And it's not all about material, it's about the thought. So if the ring pop is all the person can have, love supersedes the material things because that perishes. It's the love that remains. So take the ring pop, enjoy it, I guess, until you're able to get what he's able to get later on. But make sure he gets something later on, right?
All right. Someone else?
I don't know if we're being honest tonight.
But see, like we stated, sometimes it depends on the nature. Number one, we have to look at it. We have to realize the act of service. All right, the person, what their intent is. But also, and I don't want to get, because it's kind of interchangeable, because there is another love language, and I believe it's called receiving. All right, and we're going to deal with that one later on. But the thing that we have to realize is that it depends on the person who is receiving, their attitude. All right, but it also depends on the person that is giving, their attitude. Because a lot of times with us men, all right, we think sometimes that the more expense that we put into the ring, all right, and the cut and the clarity and all that other stuff, that's what wows them. When in actuality, sometimes what would really melt her heart, all right, or melt the person's heart is actually the Cracker Jack box ring that they got when they were 5 years old and both of you were sharing the box. And the ring was on the inside of the box. And at 5 years old, you just kept that ring for all those years. Some 30, 40 years later, you got disconnected. And then all of a sudden, you got reacquainted. Almost sounds like a Hallmark movie type situation. You just all of a sudden got reacquainted all these years later. And then you all of a sudden you started dating and he just slipped the Cracker Jack box ring. And you're sitting there like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you, all that type of stuff. It's a, depends on the person, depends on the person, depends on the person. Let me go and ask this next question, which is kind of open, even though we kind of skirted around it a little bit. Why are we so impressed by the price? Why are we so impressed by the price? Why are some of us so impressed by the price? Somebody come off a mute.
When some people see the number of things on an item, they instantly think that it's worth more. So I would say that's why it's more appeasing to the eye when they see something for $5,000 on their finger versus something that may cost like 100 or something. When the whole thing is, it really shouldn't matter what his heart and mind was, what kind of state his heart and mind was in when he got the ring for you, period. And what kind of connection you both have. That's what matters, really, the connection.
Well, I believe that the price of the gift puts people think they're in a different class.
I
agree.
Okay.
Also,
Now,
we may be.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. The comments.
Also, maybe we're impressed because the more the gift is, maybe we feel the person loves us more. So the more money they pay for something, we look at it as them showing us more love. So the more money it is, the more love that we believe that they're showing us.
Okay. Okay. That's nice. All right. Minister Frazier put online, the gift of salvation was free to us, but the great expense to Jesus. Sister Kay, she put on line, it should be the thought, but for some people, it is the price of the gift. Some people, they look for expensive gifts depending on the occasion too. That's a nice point. Also, Minister Frazier followed up by saying, if you are truly in love and that's all he can afford, you would love the Cracker Jack box ring. And then
I
Minister
agree.
Frazier
Yes.
followed that up with sometimes we equate price with value. All right. Somebody else has something that they want to share or something they want to add to this. Because why are we so impressed by the price?
We may be even confident to show off something that we get that's expensive, right? So when you get something expensive, you're more eager to share with everybody. Oh, look what I got. This, like, it's almost like bragging rights if people are in that mindset. So they're more eager to share something that's expensive, impressed by it, than something that really didn't cost as much.
Because then all of a sudden you'll have someone that be like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? And and they, clapping all, yeah. So then you see it and you'd be like, oh, okay, all right. And they, and they flash and it, and all that stuff. You know,
And just like it said, it brings you saying your self-worth. Now the attention is on you. So you feel now that you have a self-worth because everybody's asking, oh, where'd you get that from? How much did you pay for it? So it boosts your own self-esteem and maybe your own self-worth and your value. That's how you feel.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I would, sorry.
No,
I would appreciate the ring, but at the same time, in a few months later, you can't afford the mortgage. I'd wonder what the heck.
Oh,
Get out of my head. Get out of my head.
oh, that's good. Say that again.
I was thinking like it's not really that serious if you're gonna be, in debt because of a nice ring, but you're driving a hoopty or something. That don't sound too great.
Oh,
No, I'd rather have a rich life and a rich house,
Yeah.
meaning house full of love, nice things versus just a nice ring. No, I'd rather have the other stuff. You can always get the ring later. It's not that serious.
wow.
I know.
And to be honest, I had to learn that being young. I was more impressed by the price. So I would try to buy, I was young, buying pricey things. And just like you guys are talking, couldn't even pay my credit card bill, right? So I was more impressed about the price and still broke. So I didn't even, and I still don't have at that time being young, I don't even have that item to show for it. It was just, I wasted money and wasn't able to live.
I think sometimes we put our value on how much it is. It's not that we want to do that, but if we haven't been loved properly or we haven't learned our value, we put our value on nice car. Oh, he got a nice car, and or she got a nice house. But even if somebody got a nice house, they may be working 3 jobs to pay for that house.
Come on now.
So I think we put our value, we feel like, oh, I got, and it makes us feel better,
Or you may give someone an expensive gift for an investment into future life.
Okay.
Oh, so you saying keep the man trying to buy her?
Oh, you put on layaway? Oh man, that's not good.
No, what I'm saying is I know someone who's in love. The two of them are in love. And the purchase of their ring was for an investment down the road that can be used to invest in other things.
Okay. Okay.
So what about, it's also who you fall in love with. If you fall in love with a McDonald's worker, you can't expect him to give you a ring that costs something that a man that made $100,000 makes. So you got to know who you fall in love with. So somebody work at McDonald's and he give you a $1,200 ring. Well, that's probably a month's salary or a little bit more now. So he still gave you all that he had or gave you a good portion of his money because that's what he has. So you can't expect a huge ring from somebody that does not work and make that type of money. And he still could love you a whole lot more.
Yep.
Would he put it in the burger?
I agree. Yeah. And it stops the comparison. Like Minister Tia is talking about, when you know your level where you are, you won't really compare yourself to somebody who's making more than that. Like you'll be satisfied. And sometimes we can become unsatisfied because we look at what others may have. But when you know, like she's talking about the level where you want at the moment, you'll be satisfied and not compare. Oh, and then what we do sometimes, and I'm going to say, we sometimes push the horse where we make the other partner feel that they have to work harder to get us something. And there's that imbalance that can just separate when we can just understand where we are and be satisfied until we get there together. If you're going for McDonald's, you know what you get. And if you're going for a CEO, you know what you get. And so as we walk together in a relationship, you know what you get. And so just stay on that level and be okay with where you are. Doesn't mean you're going to stay there, but just be okay.
Yep. And also don't try to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, we good for that too.
Because trying to keep up with the Joneses is going to put you in debt and you'll never catch them.
Yeah.
You'll never catch them. You'll never catch them. You'll never catch the Kennedys. You know, whoever that family is, you'll never catch them. because you're always trying to keep up with them or always trying to catch them. It's like, no, do you. What you can do is what you can do, and work the plan that you have and plan to work until things get better. And just realize, it's like, listen, we got a plan. We got to work this plan. And as long as we work this plan and live within our means, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right, because that's, and I don't want to cut anybody off, but I want to say this. That's the problem with some of this generation that's out there now. They don't know how to, all right, work the plan or even make a plan, because some of them expect everything to come like this. As quick as I'm popping my hands, as quick as I'm slapping my hands, clapping my hands, that's how fast they expect it to come. And they don't realize, it's like, listen, you got to get out there and you got to work. Not everybody is going to be a one-hit wonder. Not everybody's going to be a YouTube sensation. All right, no, that's not everybody. Not everybody's going to get 100,000 likes on a post. Not everybody's going to get 100,000 subscribers, 1 million subscribers. That's not going to happen. That's not everybody's job. I've even heard one person say, it was like, listen, you got to take and work a regular job and let your regular job be able to support your family, but also support your hobby until your hobby grows to the place where it can replace your job. But for some of us, we get it twisted and we get it backwards, where we think that our hobby is going to support our family if I keep pushing it. And it's like, no, listen, you got to have some regular income coming in, and you got to realize where I am at right now. And don't try to extend your try to outlive, all right, your means, or try to live beyond. That's what I was looking for. Live beyond your means. Because if you're on a fixed income, then that income is fixed unless the Lord opens up the windows of heaven and pour even more blessings out on you, then you will have room enough to receive. But you got to live within your means. But for some right now, no, they think that, and that's not the case. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add to it? A thought that came to mind?
My statement was they're working the plan, and I thank you for correcting it.
Oh, don't worry, Deep. We got what you were saying. Don't worry, we here.
All right.
We here.
I got you.
We got you. All right. Is anyone else? Because we actually made it to the first point. All right. Because the first point is this. The love that was used, or I'm sorry, the love that we used to receive is not real love. The love that we used to receive is not real love. And the reason why I state that, or the reason why it's stated like that, is because we equate love sometimes to the price of the gift. All right? Because sometimes we think, and like I said, you can flip it either way. Sometimes we think that because the gift is expensive, then they really, really love us. And sometimes that shows how shallow a person can really be. All right? That's what that shows. It shows how shallow a person really can be. All right? So let me continue. The definition of act of service is when you demonstrate your affection with thoughtful gestures, doing helpful things for your partner. All right? Let me read it to you again. Act of service is when you demonstrate your affections or affection with thoughtful gestures, doing helpful things for your partner. So it could be something as simple as, I heard that you was on your way home and you went food shopping, and you sitting there right at the door waiting for them to pull up. Even though you just got out of the shower or you was watching the game or anything like that, and the person's coming home, that is an act of service. That is showing them love. Some people would say, well, how's that love? Well, let me tell you, it can be love because in all honesty, some people really would not want to get up and do any of that. They would rather be wrapped up in a blanket, sitting there watching TV, and they'll watch you bring all the stuff in from the store and watch you put it all away. That's what they'll do. But because they love you and they want to show an act of service, they will say, you know what, let me get up and help them. Let me wait here by the door, so that they went and did all this shopping, got all these groceries, got all this, got all that, and let me go ahead and bring everything in. Because it makes no sense for them to sit up there and go do all this shopping, deal with all them people, and then have to come home to bring everything in and then put everything away. Let me even ask you this. How many of us like going and figuring out what's for dinner, going to the store, getting everything for dinner, coming home, cooking everything for dinner, turning around, making everybody's plate, and then after all that is done, turn around and have to put everything up and wash the dishes? An act of service or to show love would be this. Let me help you in the midst of doing all of that. Minister Frazier put online, a foot massage speaks volumes. Something as simple as a foot massage, especially if you've been on your feet all day long. And let me flip it another way. If your husband been on his feet all day long, you may not like it, and especially if he has crusty feet and they ashy feet, they nasty feet. They need a pedicure. They need a manicure. They need to be bleached. They need some turpentine. They need some iodine. They need all them things. But you turn around and you rub his feet. You rub her feet. Act of service. So let me continue. We have gotten it so twisted when it comes to showing love that we don't even realize when someone is honestly showing us genuine love, because we have too many wrong things in our mind, too many wrong notions, too many wrong perceptions, even with some of the TV shows, whether you talk about these so-called reality shows or these YouTube sensations or any of these shows, like, they give us a false sense. They give us a false sense. Now, let me ask this next question for all of us, which is this. Why do we have a problem with accepting or understanding the love language acts of service? Let me read it again. It's going to come up on the screen. Why do we have a problem with accepting or understanding the love language act of service? Somebody come off a mute and answer this question for me.
Everybody's active love or active service is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, understand the love language, but I don't know, come and help me wash the dishes, not showing me love. It's just helping me clean up. If you're asking me, like, let's just hurry up and get it done. So is that an act of love? Why does that have to be an act of love? Because you help me cook dinner or help me clean up. That's just putting away dinner, but everybody's different. Somebody else might think that's a act of love, but I just think that's, let's get the kitchen clean. Dinner is done. you know, so but to somebody else that might be like an awesome thing.
Yeah.
How about you just go sit down, honey? You just got finished doing all that work. I'll take the rest of the night. I'll finish up and clean the dishes.
I'll take that. Yes.
Yeah,
That
okay.
would be, yeah, I would be like, oh, thank you. Yes.
There you go. There you go.
Which
Wait a
my
minute.
husband does. He has done that too, but yeah. Now that would be.
I know he did. I was feeling him. I know he did.
I know. Y'all all be on together. Mhm.
Uh-huh. Someone else. Someone else. Because the question is, why do we have a problem with accepting or understanding the love language acts of service?
All right, Pastor, I would say we would have a problem understanding it because maybe that's not our particular love language.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I like that. All right. I like
And
that.
I would say accepting, maybe because we would think that once someone, we could have been trained that if somebody did something for us, it is expected for us to do something back in return.
Right. Like what? Yeah. What do you want?
Yeah. So not to just
Yep,
accept
yep.
it freely, but with the undertone of, yo, why they doing this? What's
Yeah.
what is it that they want me to do?
Yep.
Maybe trained that way, that in order to get love, somebody, if they're showing you love, then you must return it with something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or could it be that you know that your loved one has body issues or ailments and you're concerned about them and you do the service for them?
Yeah, that's nice. Yep, that's good.
That's yeah. That's yeah. Let me read. Minister Frazier put, no monetary value is attached to it, and it can be considered a duty, but the thought behind it is showing love. Sister K put on here, depending on, ooh, she dug at it a little bit more. Y'all gonna love this one. Depending on your upbringing, some people may think, what's your motive? And this was what we were stating earlier. I could genuinely do a kind act of love, and the recipient may think, what do I want? Because they feel, or sorry, because they are not used to anyone being kind. Mm-hmm. All right. Someone else? Because the reason why I put the question or pose the question that way is exactly what all of us were alluding to. Is just like Sister Shoshana said, some people do not realize, all right, how to receive that love, but they also never had somebody genuinely love them that way. So they don't know how to accept it. But as Minister Smith said, all right, we have to realize that with some people, acts of service means, oh, you did this act of service because you have a hidden agenda. There's something else that you really want. That's the reason why you did what you did. Mm-hmm. There is a hidden agenda. But for some people, we don't realize that a lot of times act of service, all right, is somebody just genuinely showing us kindness. That's all they wanted to do. They just wanted to show us love.
And if we never had,
go ahead.
If we never had that shown to us, we can mess up the whole relationship. Because when my first husband, it was a disaster. We were both too young. But when I married my second husband, if I was doing the yard work and he came home, he would start doing the yard work with me. And I would look like, what's wrong with him? I didn't never had nobody to do that for me. And I mean, if I was, one time I was cleaning the oven. He came home from work and started helping me clean the oven. And I was like, wow, I ain't never had nobody do that for me. So if
Yeah.
you're not used to it, if you don't accept it, it's a love gift, and you don't accept it like that, you can blow the whole relationship. All
Yep.
he was doing was showing me love, and I never had anything like that shown to me in a marriage before, even though this was my second marriage, but I never had that shown to me before.
Yeah.
And a couple of times I really didn't know how to receive it. But of course, the more he did it, the better I got at receiving it.
But Pastor, sometimes too, you receive that love, but as time goes on, people throw it back up in your face when they want something. Remember when I did so and so for you? So sometimes you are kind of edgy about receiving the love because it comes back and smack you in the face. Golly, I thought they did it because they love me, but down the line, here they are throw it up in my face. So they had an ulterior motive for why they did it. It wasn't genuine. So now you're leery about when people show you that love. Now, what do they want?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, love is vulnerable. It's like what Miss Jen is talking about is a lot of tough skin, a tough love, and a lot of forgiveness in the midst of the love, and a lot of reprogramming because, like you all talking about, I wasn't brought up like that. And so there's a lot of reprogramming I had to do from my own mind so that I wouldn't believe that everybody who showed me love wanted to take from me and not honestly give.
Yeah, it's hard to receive it sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It puts you in an open space.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's why sometimes, and just putting it plainly, that's why it hurts so bad sometimes.
Yeah.
When the love, is taken advantage of, because sometimes it opens up old wounds. It opens up old wounds, and so it's a point of like, you know what? I gotta learn this. I gotta learn this. I can't sit up there and lump everybody together
Right.
the way it was before.
Right.
That's the way they were, treating me before. That's the way they were saying it before. They were taking advantage of me before, but this is not that group. This is not that people. This is not that was my old husband. That was my old boyfriend. That's not my husband now. This is my Boaz. This is the one that God made for me. This is my root. And in order for this to work, he's showing me, or she's showing me, acts of service, and they're showing me by example love. And I got to deprogram myself in order to receive it.
And also our heart in order to hear it. Because if we're damaged, we'll hear it not in a loving manner, and it could have been presented in a loving manner. As you were talking about grouping people together, somebody could say something to us, and if we haven't healed in that area and learn how to love again, we will hear it the old way, and we'll respond in the old way. And like Mother Shula had said, then we destroy a whole relationship, because not only just receiving love by acts, but learning how to receive it with our ears and our heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And also you could be hurt so many times or been used so many times that an automatic defense goes up or automatic wall goes up. So when people do start doing stuff for you right away, because your defense is up, that wall is up, you're gonna be like, okay, why is she doing this? Why he doing that? What made them do this? So like your mind got 50 million questions going on. So, and until that wall begins to break down, you're going to always feel like that. And then too, when you're used to like doing stuff for people, like for people who are givers, like I'm a giver. I love doing stuff for people. So a lot of times when you put yourself in that position, or that's something that's within you, when somebody tried to bless you or do something for you in return, a lot of times you'll say, that's okay. No, I'm all right. Until That's what I used to do. And this one person asked me a question, can you stand to be blessed?
Ooh.
And I was like, wow, okay. And that's what brought me in. That's what got my mind to ticking, because when you are a giver like that, you for some reason your mind think, okay, I'll just do this. I see the need. They don't have to do anything. But then in the process, somebody's trying to bless you and you're stopping that person from blessing you. And God can be telling that person to do certain things, but then you stop it because you says, oh no, that's okay. I don't need it. But a lot of times you will find that in people who are givers and just have the gift of helps.
Yeah.
And also like that, when people are hurt and don't know how to receive love, or around that line, the person, so like she said, she's a giver, I'm a giver. And if I want to love on you or trying to get to know you, even though you don't say nothing, that wall immediately goes up, and the person that's trying to love you or get to know you can tell.
Yeah.
It shuts them right down, like, okay, nope. So sometimes you don't have to say a word and it still shows.
Yep. Because I was even going to add to it that we, by not allowing them to bless us or show us love, all right, or acts of service, all right, we end up holding up their blessing, because sometimes their blessing is tied to them blessing us. That's what happens. And we end up holding up their blessing, because so many times as leaders, we say, like Elder Bebop said, a lot of times we're just like, oh, no, that's too much. That's too much. It's like, no, listen. If we accept it, then God will in turn bless them for them being a blessing to us. All right. And so we have to learn how to, and a lot of times say, you know what? I just have to accept it. It's hard for me to accept it. I just got to accept it. Yeah, I really do.
Yes.
I really do. All right. Anyone
else? I think that's very hard for pastors to do. I think that's I think that's hard for pastors to do, because they're so concerned about their congregation and the well-being of their congregation. So they have to, like you said, I got to do it. I just got to do it.
Yeah. And now let me flip it. It's hard for some pastors, like you said.
Some pastors, yes. God pastors. It's hard for God pastors to do it.
Because others, they don't care. They be like, bring it on. Okay.
Bring it on. Yeah.
Come on, bring your mortgage payment. You wanna bring your rent for the next 4 months? Come on, bring your rent. All that's what they'll do. Because they won't care. They won't care at all. But those who, whether it's a pastor or leader, they really think about those things. And even let me make it pointed, even as we were, as we're coming out of and dealing with this pandemic. I'll even say it, and people going, have an issue with it, but I found it unconscionable when you had, pastors and preachers that's sitting up there asking for and pleading with, members to, give, their first fruit and all that other stuff at the beginning of the pandemic, when there was when we had so many people unemployed, all right, and so many hours, people's hours were cut, and they wasn't sure where their next paycheck was coming from, where, how is they going to feed their family? How are they going to stay in their house? And, how is they going to get gas in the car and all that other stuff? I just found it crazy. I really did. I found it really crazy. And at that particular point in time, most of them should have been, you know what? Let the Lord's going to take care of the church. You guys need to live. You need to live. You need to, know that, listen, you got to have food on your table. You got to have, heat. you know, air conditioning, all of that. You got to have all of that. And things are getting tight. You know what? Pay your tithe. That's great. Forget everything else. Because I mean, I won't even get on my soapbox about it. But my last little point with it is like y'all have heard me say before, it made no sense when you've had more power in people's cash apps than was in the sermon that they actually was preaching. They flashed that cash app and all that other stuff across the screen 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 times. But they just said, praise the Lord. The Lord is good. That's your sermon for the day. And they'd be like, okay, we done. But then they put the cash app. It's like, come on, for real. For real. And I went all the way left, but I had to say it. Because we have to realize that real, true, honest, all right, saints of the Most High God, yes, they have a hard time accepting acts of service towards them, all right, because they're like, you know, they're like, oh, come on now. But we have to realize this is that person's way of showing them love. And we don't want to hold up their blessing, all right? But we also have to realize, and we have to get to the place, as we had alluded to, that sometimes there's no hidden agenda. There's no hidden agenda. Not everybody that's giving something to us or blessing us is looking to get. Not everybody. Not everybody. And the sad part about this is it's learned behavior. It's learned behavior because it was modeled in front of us. So we are just doing what we were showed or what was modeled in front of us. And what makes it even great or makes it better, or for some of us to encourage us until we come to a greater knowledge of God and the way that God loves us. For some, we'll continue to be trapped. We will continue to be trapped in that mindset. Because as we've been stating over the last several weeks, it's your mindset. It's your mindset. Is what you're thinking about. You know, whether or not you just really, really, you know, want to say everybody's out to get from you. And it's not that. Not everybody's out to get from you. There are people that really, honestly, truthfully want to give to you to help encourage you and to build you up. Because we had some people, you know, they've never, like the old song, I never knew a love like this before. It's an old song. I love it. It's an old oldie, but a goodie. I never knew a love like this before. And it's a good song. It's a very good song. And it's so applicable to Christianity because we can turn around and say, I never knew a love like this before. I never knew that people who did not know me from Adam could love me and care for me this much. I never knew it. I never knew it because it was never shown to me. It was never modeled in front of me. It was all, they gave me and showed me the wrong idea about all of it. They did. They even modeled in front of me that, you know what? I'll give it, but I'm going to expect something in return. That's what some of people thought. And that's what they was modeled in front of. That's what they were taught. And that's not the case. Let me continue to move on. We can continue to teach, model, instruct people. But until the person decides that they will make a change, then they will never understand how deep and how wide God's love is towards them. We can show them, we can model it in front of them, we can teach them until we're blue in the face and we sound like a broken record stuck on repeat. But until they get it in their head and they get a real true understanding of it in their head and in their heart, the word and the teaching not going to do a thing because they're going to continue to think that there's something else going on. And God is like, there's nothing else going on. All I want to do is show you that I love you. All I want to do is tell you that I love you. Romans 5:8 states this, but God commendeth his love toward us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. While we were yet sinners, while we were in a backslidden, messed up, jacked up situation in our life, Christ died for us. God loved us even in our mess. Even in our situation, Christ said, you know what? I love you so much. I'm going to love you in your mess until you come out of your mess. And even if you mess up and go back into the mess, I'm still going to love you. And for some people, they can't understand that. They can't grasp it because they're like, how can somebody love me and care about me that much? Let me put it to you this way. They love you and care for you that much. We do, because we'll go and pull you out the club if we know you in the club. If you in the bar and you have a moment and you sit up there calling, we gonna come in the middle of the night to wherever you at. Why? Because we love you just that much. Wherever you are at, that's what love. That's love. That's act of service. When I could be curled up in my blanket and I can be asleep, but all of a sudden, phone starts to vibrate or something like that. You're like, I need help, such and such. Getting up out the bed, finding out what's going on, what happened. But what some of us don't realize is that we actually have family members in the body of Christ, in the tabernacle, that love us just that much. But because we are not willing to accept that type of love, we don't take advantage of it. And I mean take advantage of it in a good way. I don't mean in a bad way. So we may not be able to show acts of kindness or acts of service. All right. We may not be able to do that. But let me tell you this, we have to learn. I have 802. We have to learn. We have to learn how to show acts of service, but we also have to learn the language of acts of service so that we can accept and we can also give. Because if we don't, like it was stated already, we're going to be in a world of hurt. And it's not only us being hurt, but we're going to hurt others, because others will end up shutting down. Others will end up shutting down, and they'll be like, well, you know what? You ain't showing me, forget it. I'm done. I'm done. That's it. That's it. Chalk it up. That's it. I quit. I've tried. And as and going back to the example that Mother Shula put earlier, imagine, Brother Mickey, coming and, sitting up there still trying to help. And she's saying, I got this. I don't need your help. I was able to do this before you got here. So why you need to help me now?
That's right.
And you saying all that. And it's like, no, I love you that much that I don't want you to do it by yourself. I know you can do it by yourself, but I love you enough that I'm going to help you with it. And eventually you're going to be like, go ahead and do it. Yes, you go ahead. And you don't have to be concerned about it. And it's going to make him feel great, make her feel great, because then they'd be like, wow, you know what? They cheering me on, this, that, and the other. So with that, I'm going to save the last 2 points and the next couple questions for next week. Because like I stated before, I don't want to rush through this. I don't want us to rush through this. I want us to understand it. I want us to grasp it. I want us to be able to understand the language. Because even in that, for some, you're learning more about yourself, but you're also learning more about other people. So with that being stated, my name is Pastor Lamont Brown. I'm the pastor of Faith Baptist Tabernacle here in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where we are evangelizing to the family while building disciples. Just want to remind you of this one thing. It's already done. You just got to catch up to it. Peace.
Amen. Amen.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
All right.
That was a
Good
quick
night.
hour.